Hey guys, you know it has to be something really big for me to come on video and talk to you guys because I almost never do this. But there's been some really big news that come out today, and no, it's not all the corporate firings and layoffs and those types of things, or Disney suing anybody because those things happen all the time. But this is really big and revolutionary, and I thought you guys really needed to know. And so I have a question for you. Do you regularly use non-compete clauses in your contracts? Do you have non-compete clauses for your employees? Do you have non-compete clauses for your independent contractors? Because if the answer is yes, you may end up having to change that. And I also have a question for my attorney friends out there is, do you regularly put non-compete clauses in contracts and agreements? Because I think that this is something that is not only going to change how we do business, but also who we do business with. So here's the deal. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, has come out with some proposed rules to change how businesses work with employees and independent contractors. They are proposing to outright ban non-compete clauses. That's right, an outright ban. So right now, there are, I believe, three states, maybe four, that ban non-compete clauses. There is Oklahoma, California, North Dakota. There may be one more that I'm forgetting, but those are the main states that don't even allow non-compete clauses, and that's been the case for a while. Every other state pretty much has allows them, but there's some strict rules about non-competes and when you can use them, how you can use them. You have to be very tailored because everyone agrees that people should have the right to work to earn a living. And so all the states, with regardless of where you are, with exceptions of the ones that don't allow it, have a requirement that you have strictly tailor those to location, maybe a radius, a time period, that they have to be very specific and they have to be tied to some kind of compensation. And it doesn't have to be monetary compensation, but it could be a new position or a new title or something like that, that you have some compensation for that as well. So that's really how non-competes work. And I have had multiple conversations with small business owners, nonprofit organizations about non-competes and how they work and what we should do with them. I've also done presentations on restrictive covenants, which is a non-compete agreement, and how those work. And it's always a topic of conversation because one of the things that small businesses always come to me and ask, how, if I bring on this person, how can I make sure that they don't steal my ideas? How can I make sure that they don't take what I've taught them and go start a new business or do something else? And I always say it's really hard to stop that altogether, but there are some things that we can do. But now with the FTC's proposed ruling, if it goes through, that is all going to come to an end. And so one of the things that they are looking at is they're going to make it illegal to enter into or attempt to enter into a non-compete with a worker, maintain a non-compete with a worker, or represent to a worker under circumstances that they are subject to a non-compete. And this is important because sometimes what people will do is that they'll say that there's a non-compete and that they can't go out and do something even when there isn't. So those are some kind of bad practices that some employers do, or they'll overrepresent what limitations that person has. And so with these FTC rules, you can't have a contract with a non-compete. You can't even propose a non-compete. And the non-compete that you have in place now may now become irrelevant and illegal if you have it. And this also is going to apply to independent contractors. That makes a big difference because a lot of the companies that I work with, when we have independent contractors and we're bringing in people in, we usually put in non-competes, joint ventures, kind of business deals, those kinds of things, we do in fact put in non-competes. And so that's going to affect a whole lot of businesses, even if you don't have direct workers and you're doing partnership agreements or joint ventures and things like that, that's going to affect you. And so it's really important to really understand how this affects your overall business. So, one of the things that you can look at, and of course, it depends on what the actual rule ends up being. Right now, this is a proposed rule. I'm certain that it probably won't be what's being proposed now, which I think not only is it going to ruffle some feathers, or has ruffled feathers, it is really going to upset the business industry as a whole. And typically, when you see something like that, there are some carve outs and exceptions and things like that. But small businesses usually get the short end of the stick of that. So I feel like it's really important for those of you that are small business owners to really understand how this is going to impact your business. So, one of the things that you can do, and I always advocate for, is thinking about non-solicitation, which is kind of a version of a non-compete, but really what it says is that you can't go out and solicit my customers, my clients, my vendors, my employees, and pull them away to support your own venture. So there are probably going to be some switches in that as well, but I think that that's one option that's still available based on the proposed rules. Another thing that you can do is have confidentiality agreements, non-disclosure agreements as well. Now, what I always tell people is that you can't just make this like a blanket statement, right? You can't just go out here and have everybody sign a non-disclosure agreement and everybody sign a non-solicitation agreement. That's not what we want to do. That's not how it's going to be able to be enforced and to ensure that your business is protected. Those kind of practices is what leads to this FTC rulings that are coming down. So it's really important to ensure that you think about your business, how it works, what you do next, and how important is it for you to protect some of the things that you have, right? So, do you really have confidential information that nobody else has access to, right? Do you have the Coca-Cola formula, or do you have something that any and everybody can have access to, right? So, you got to think about that. Do you have a business that if you lost a customer and that customer utilized another vendor or a supplier, that it would truly affect your business and you would not be able to work with them anymore? I think those are some things that you really have to think about. So if you regularly use non-competes in your practice, in your business, you definitely need to take a look at that and figure out how this is going to affect your business. Right now, it's a proposed rule, but it won't take long for it to become an actual rule, and what that actually looks like is going to really vary. But as a small business owner, you really have to be in touch with that and make sure that you get those contracts reviewed. If you're interested and looking at, hey, are my contracts, going to be protected? Is this something that we really need to rethink, how we do business, how we bring on professionals? Hey, reach out to me, message me, make a comment down below, and let's talk about it. And even you can sign up for a consultation to really talk about what's next in your business. I would love to talk to you guys. And for my attorney friends out there, business consultants, CPAs, how do you see this affecting the clients that you work with? Hey, drop a line. Let me know. I'm really interested. This is a really big deal, and I will keep you posted on this.